adventure. Life is full of it. You can embrace it or ignore it, but it's still there. It's calling to you, beckoning for you to get out and live. At Adventure Tejas, we invite you to come along with us as we answer that call. Join us as we live the adventure.
Oh shit, I went down. Ah, damn it.
We were on our way back to Colorado and the Rocky Mountains to raise awareness for Ultimate Sacrifice Association. The fall of 2018 marked our third year for doing our annual Run to the Rockies charity ride for Ultimate Sacrifice Association. The hardest part of the trip the first 2 years was leaving our home in Kerrville, Texas, and driving nearly 500 miles to El Paso on Interstate 10. Extremely boring. This year, however, we started in Kerrville and we drove 535 miles all the way up to Fort Sumner. We made camp at Sumner Lake State Park, rested, relaxed, and planned our next day, which would be about a 415-mile drive up to Mesa Verde National Park, where we would then launch onto the Colorado BDR up through Colorado and into Wyoming. In previous years, we had followed Sam Carrero's Trans Am Trail, Shadow of the Rockies, from El Paso all the way up into Wyoming. This year, however, since we were on the BDR, we would end in Wyoming. We would head over to Baggs, Wyoming, where the Shadow of the Rockies trail ends, and then take it south across through Crested Butte over the mountains and back into Trinidad, where we would spend the night at Trinidad Lake State Park, which has become one of our favorites, and then make the journey back into Texas for the remainder of the trip. At this same time, someone else was headed to the start of the BDR from Utah.
Beautiful morning, Valley of the Gods, Utah.
We would meet up with Segundo later that day.
So this is the morning of day number 3 on our charity ride for Ultimate Sacrifice Association. And today's the day we start the Colorado BDR at Cortez. We're just leaving Mesa Verde National Park, where Stephen and I spent the night. Beautiful morning this morning, nice and cool. Heading on to higher elevation and spend the night close to Telluride tonight.
This is it, the beginning of the Colorado BDR.
While Segundo started the BDR at Four Corners, Stephen and I started at Cortez, and after this brief period of being lost and taking the wrong turn, we eventually got onto the trail and got started. At this point, after 2 long days of driving on the pavement to get here, it was good to be on the dirt. And somewhere, we figure about a half hour behind us, was Segundo just getting ready to start.
So, this is day 3 of my ride, but this is where the Colorado BDR turns to dirt. Just coming out of Dolores, Colorado on my trusty steed. Getting ready to go on the dirt road, so let's put this thing in dirt mode. Alright, first thing, adjust my brake pedal. That way when I'm standing up I have better leverage. Over here, press and hold the ABS button. I need to turn off ABS mode. You can see the indicator here. I'm already in Enduro, I just turned it on a moment ago. Got my track set up. My BDR map from Butler.
The first day of the Colorado BDR, or I should say the first dirt section, it's relatively short, less than 100 miles, and is not technically challenging at all. But it was one of my favorite days of the entire BDR. Allows you to just kind of relax and enjoy your surroundings and kind of get prepared for what's ahead. While there are some up and downhill sections with some larger rocks, it's something you can easily navigate and get around, and we really enjoyed it. So I want to take a second here and talk about why we do this Run to the Rockies charity ride each year. And we do that for our first responders. Ultimate Sacrifice Association is a charitable 501c3 that is dedicated to assisting firefighters, law enforcement officers, and U.S. military personnel who have lost their lives or have a debilitating injury as a result of the selfless sacrifice they make in the protection of others. USA goes out of their way to make sure that these families and these individuals have the resources they need. And we just feel like this is our way of giving back to help bring attention to the need and hopefully raise funds for Ultimate Sacrifice Association. While stopped for a quick lunch on the trail, Segundo caught up with us. We had lunch together, and then we ended up riding into Telluride together. Segundo's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and was doing the Colorado BDR solo, and so we invited him to come along with us and spent the next several days together all the way up to Steamboat Lake before he departed on his own. Once we got to Telluride, we stopped at the city park, and of course we had to take a few moments to take pictures of our motorcycles, and then we headed on up Bridal Veil Falls and looked at the scenery there before heading to camp. And that was the end of day 3 of our trip, day 1 of the Colorado BDR.